act in your service. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. All right. Go ahead and go into roll call. Councilman London, if you'll start us off.
Present.
Councilman Clare?
Here.
Councilman Box?
I'm good.
Councilman Wilson?
Present.
And myself present. All right. Going into the approval of minutes for pre-council meeting and regular council meeting. If we can have a motion for the approval of those minutes.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the pre-council and the regular council meeting on, should have a date on it, shouldn't it?
It should. It was for the most recent meeting, which
I'm
was
looking at it. 11/18.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, I kind of recorded, kind of make a motion to approve the minutes for the pre-council and regular council meeting dated 11/18/2020.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Going into the portion for the approval of current bills, may we have a motion for that payment?
I'd like to make a motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $129,325.50.
Second.
Second, thank you, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Time now to roll into any professional or consultant reports. Fair enough. Now we're going to go ahead and get into our reports. Mayor, if we could go ahead and have your report for tonight.
Again, I would like to say good evening to everyone. I have about 6 items that I would like to share for you tonight from the mayor's report. First of all, I would like to thank Dickie Drake, who gave $5,000 to the Irondale Senior Activity Center. Secondly, the city council gave approximately the city of Irondale gave approximately 300 boxes of food within 1 hour and 30 minutes of City Hall. I can truly say that that was a blessing for all of us that had an opportunity to be able to participate. We were supposed to start at 9 o'clock, however cars were lined up around 8 o'clock, so Frank and I made an executive decision that we would just start giving the food out until everything ran out, and all of the boxes were given out around 9:30. We were actually standing out there on the corner, and they were still looking for food to be given out at that time. It made me realize how blessed we are and how we should thank the Lord every day for all of the good things that He's provided to each and every one of us. Because when you have people to come out and line up to be able to get food, and we're talking about just a small box of food, then we know that we are living in some tough times. But we also know who's in control of the tough times, and we know that at the end of the day that everything is going to be okay. So December the 19th, we're going to have another city-sponsored food giveaway. Our goal is to give over 600 boxes of food away through iCare Alabama, and we would also like to give away 300 hams or turkeys as well. And to be able to give away the hams or turkeys, we're actually taking funds here at the city. The goal is to raise approximately about $4,000 so that we can take those funds that comes in from the community. We can use that to be able to purchase turkeys or hams, or to be able to give them away to the individuals that are in lines. We've already received a $1,000 donation today, and I would like to thank Mr. Price Hightower for tower development. He and I was having a conversation that had nothing to do with this giveaway. And he said, "Mayor, is there any way that I can help you?" And I said, "Well, by the way, you can help me." And I told him that we was having a food giveaway, and he asked your budgetary amount. I said, "Well, my budgetary amount is $4,000. And he said, "Well, what about if I give you 1,000? I said, "What about if I say that's fantastic?" So we wanted to encourage everyone, if you can't volunteer and come, and I mean, this is for the community, so this is not for Mayor James, for the community. So if you would like to volunteer, come down here on that Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning, grab boxes and be able to pass them out. We welcome everybody that want to be a part of it because we're all about building community, and the only way that we're going to build. The third thing is we're going to have a work session on December the 8th, 2020 at 6 p.m. here at City Hall to discuss the budget. On December the 10th, 2020, we're going to have a virtual town hall meeting to be able to discuss the budget, and as soon as I get that information, we'll make sure that we send it out to the public so that you can have an opportunity to be able to see the presentation online, and then you can also submit your questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer those questions for you. Also, we would like to have a work session on December the 15th at 6 p.m. If it fits everyone's schedule. We would like to give you an update on I met with Mr. Kelly today, so he wants to come and to be able to share the plans that he has for the park. And we are putting a timeline together to begin the process in 2021 to begin to do some renovations and improvement over at Ruffner Park. And the last thing is I'm going to do a Facebook Live to discuss my first 30 days in office. And trust me, it's been an adventure these first 30 days. Working as a city clerk for 8 years has made the transition easier, but just moving over 30 feet to another office, there's a different set of responsibilities that comes with the job. I think the hardest thing that everybody's trying to get used to, we don't know what to call each other. So everybody's still calling me James, they call me city clerk, sometimes they call me mayor. But we're working through it, and hopefully by the end of the year, we'll make sure that we have all of the protocol and everything down. But I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I know that we have some items on the agenda that is of interest to probably everybody that's in this room. But we want to campaign platform tenets was employee empowerment. And I want to make sure I'm not one of those politicians. And I'm not afraid to say I'm a politician because I am a politician. I mean, when you go to the doctor, you want to make sure you go to the right doctor. So when you're in politics, you want to make sure that you have a politician that's working on your behalf. And when I ran for office, I campaigned on employee empowerment. And I said that if I was given the opportunity to serve here in the city of Irondale, I would do my best to make sure that the employees in the city of Irondale would have some of the best benefits of any municipality in Jefferson County, that all the other municipalities would envy what's going on in the city of Irondale. And I'm here tonight to be able to keep that promise and to be able to show the employees that those were just not words that I said because I was running for office, but those were things that I believe in because it's just the right thing to do. So that's all I have for tonight, Council President. And also, if you don't mind, I'll speak to why we decided to go to 4 days. I worked here in City Hall for 3 weeks, so I was here every Friday. So I'm not going on what somebody else told me. I'm going on what I experienced when I was here. And to me, it's not efficient or effective to have 6 people in an office to actually serve on average 3 people per day. So that's why we made the decision that we would move, or I guess I can say, I made the decision since I'm the appointing authority, so I don't want the council to say, well, I ain't having anything to do with it, because they're absolutely correct. I made that decision as the appointing authority because I've been given the authority to be able to determine the work hours, but I felt in my heart that the best way to provide services to the citizens is to be able to consolidate the schedules where we have enough people here Monday through Thursday to be able to serve you, instead of having people here on Friday, but then there are no people here on Monday, which is the busiest day of the week. And also because of COVID-19, we're going to begin to sanitize the building on Friday. So we're going to give the building a day of rest because we have people coming in here from all different places. We don't know what people have when they come in here, but because we've kept the doors open. And it's my responsibility to make sure that everybody that's in this building is going to sanitize the building so that people can come and feel comfortable when they come to work Monday through Friday, that they are protected to the best that the city that can provide them with that type of protection. So if anybody have any questions for that, that falls on me. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman London, if you would like to continue.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things. First of all, good evening to everyone. It's always good to see you here. I just want to announce Holiday Gardens meeting. We'll meet on every second Tuesday of the month. And this month, December the 8th, we'll be having a Zoom call. And what I'll do, I'll post the Zoom information on my webpage where you can pull it up. We'd love for you to have you to come out and be part of that Zoom call. Pat Frazier, I think she was here. She wasn't here. Pat Frazier is our president. She does such a great job. And also Kelsey McClure is a member of the Holiday Garden, is really working on that. So that's on every second Tuesday of the month. And we're having next week on 12 to 8. So looking forward to you coming and on that Zoom call. And also, Mayor mentioned the park meeting, so I'm excited about that also. So hope to see some of you here when we come talking about Grafton Park. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Quayle?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and as Councilman London noted, thank you so much for being here. I see many of this time to thank my constituents who have been contacting me throughout this week to give me their input on decisions that we're going to be making this evening. For the benefit of one of the things that I have been doing as part of my commitment to transparency on city affairs is giving them a summary of what things we discuss in our meetings, and also send you out the agenda so that you are well aware of the topics that we're going to be discussing, decisions that we're going to be making. And I want to thank you all for being here, and thank you for those of you who did submit your questions, your feedback, express your concerns. Please know that I am taking all of these things into account, and then I will be asking the questions to get you the answers. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Councilman Fox?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming again. I guess everybody said that. It's good to see some of what's going on. We can all build stronger together when we put our ideas together and try to share things and bounce things off one another. So what I'm looking for on neighborhood meetings, like Councilman London was talking about, I have several neighborhoods. So I would love for any of you guys that are neighborhood heads or something like that, contact me so that I can put together Zoom calls for neighborhood, or possibly meet with you guys. I've just about compiled all my email list so that I can start sending out the agendas as we get them, with more information to them to keep everybody more informed there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Wilson?
Thank you, Councilor. Thank everyone for coming out tonight. I know we got a large crowd, and I don't blame y'all. So, but I do enjoy seeing everyone. I don't get a chance to see everybody often, so it is good to see people I haven't seen in a long time. I'll go ahead and get started. Just talking about, I'll start off with my citizens' comments. I just want to thank Frank and his crew for coming in the Holiday Gardens and taking care of the leaf problem that we had. I know we got the leaf truck going. I've seen it myself, so I'm so excited about that. I've been asking for it for 10 years, so. But we just appreciate what y'all did with that particular issue. Next, I would like to thank our city attorney, April Danielson, and of course, Frank, again, our public works director and interim city clerk. And you got any other titles we need to know about? Of meeting with me today in reference to the trash nuisance that we have in Holiday Gardens. Fortunately, I was advised that we'll be putting out some more no dumping signs in the community. That way, hopefully, we can curb the illegal dumping that's happening in the Holiday Gardens area. Not only Holiday Gardens. I hope that it's not happening in any parts of Irondale, but I just appreciate Frank, kind of stepping out there and saying, hey, this is what we can do to kind of curb that particular issue that we're having out there. I would like to thank the mayor Chief Wiggins and his officers for their presence in Holiday Gardens to minimize speeding. I can't tell you how many phone calls I've gotten of speeders going down Paramount and Goldmore, and I mean it's just crazy out there. But I received several phone calls, but our citizens are really grateful about you guys being out there making a presence. So Mayor, I appreciate you sending them out there, and Chief Wiggins, thank you so much for just having that presence out there. I mentioned this during our last council meeting. I'll be quick. If we can look at the idea of possibly not having all of our council meetings here in the council chambers, but due to the pandemic that we're in now, kind of moving it or entertaining the fact of having it at a much more conducive facility, a larger place. Mayor, I don't know how that's going to work. I'm not saying we do it every month, but at least every now and again, having it like at auditorium somewhere or church. I'm not sure how that'll work out, but it would be nice if we could count. But I have a pre-existing condition, so you know, for some people to feel comfortable, I would definitely like to entertain that. And last but not least, I don't see our executive director here from the chamber. I just want to remind everyone we're having our Christmas at the Caboose on December the 5th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at 1912 First Avenue South in Irondale. Of course, we're going to have Santa. Does that mean you're going to be there?
I'm going to try to make a show up. I've got several other events that day.
Okay.
I've already tried to coordinate with Julie that as the Santa that's there and kind of go take a break, I'm going to try to show up.
All right.
Don't want to confuse anybody.
Yeah, fun. So just want to let everybody know, hey, come out and have a good time, and there is a fee associated with that. So if you have any questions about that, please contact our executive director, Julie Gardner, at the Chamber of Commerce. That's all I have, Councilor.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
And for me, I just hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I know we had some people from the water department that were working, so we appreciate their work so that the households could have water and have a good Thanksgiving. So very thankful for every employee that serves this city, and just hope everybody had a good, healthy holiday, and that everybody was smart, safe, and all that good stuff. Thank you very much, Councilman Wilson, for bringing up the Christmas at the Caboose. Frank, out of the Caboose looks fantastic. I've been meaning to mention this to you, but some decorations on it and stuff like that. So thank you very much for that.
President Spivey, can I add on to what Mr. Wilson, Councilman Wilson, has added in regard to meeting spaces? I've had several requests from my constituents asking if we can go back to virtual meetings because they can't be present here. Our COVID-19 contraction rates are just going up through the roof, and they're not comfortable coming to City Hall to participate in our meetings. So if we could take a look at the possibility of going back to virtual meetings, many of them are asking for this.
We good? All right. You actually stole my thunder a little bit. I would definitely like to have a discussion about that as a group. Are we still covered under the governor's orders to be able to do that virtually? Ms. April?
I would need to check that to
Okay.
be sure, but I believe so.
Okay, gotcha. I wasn't sure if that had lapsed or not. So I'm definitely sensitive to that. We are definitely in a place now where we were when we made some of those decisions. So I definitely agree. I think it deserves a look. Now tonight, as we're going through deliberation, I definitely want to respect the videographer. I let him know that I would be taking some virtual questions if there are any. So we'll do our best to work through that as we field the questions from the audience, as well as the questions from Facebook and any other media sources that he's broadcasting on. So with that, I would like to go ahead and end my comments and move on to the next part of our agenda, which is any reports from boards and non-council committees. Do we have any representatives that would like to speak? Fair enough. Next is going to be council deliberation on agenda items only. Now that being said, there's a lot of agenda items on here, and we're going to just take them one by one. And then we'll go through an organized question and answer. We'll start, Councilman London, I'll probably start on your end, and we'll just go through each question one by one. The format that I would like to take this in is I'll go ahead and I'll read the resolution, and then I'm going to defer to the mayor to explain it, and then we'll go ahead and letting us know what's going on with it. Then we will we'll proceed with our questions. So that being said, sir, here, so new business, 2020 R60.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Excuse me, Council President, did we have an approval of the agenda?
Well,
First.
What we've been doing recently is just deliberating them before we went into the actual approval of the agenda.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That way, if we want to, there might be an opportunity to just go ahead and do some things on consent.
Okay.
So, thank you for that, though, I appreciate it. New business, resolve the resolution 2020 R65, approves the retail beer off-premise only license and retail table wine off-premise only license for DC Oil Company Incorporated, located at 4623 Grantswood Road, 35210. That's most likely self-explanatory, but Mayor, is there anything you would like to comment on that?
Dave, if you'd like to just, he's back there, so if you all have any questions, he can come up to the front and answer those questions for you.
Thank you, and Councilman London, do you have any questions at this time? Councilman Claire?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
I'm sorry, I missed it. You're who now?
Yeah, Chevron.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
You got your mask on. Yeah, I got you.
That's me, I'm trying to face it.
Yeah,
I started last year.
I know.
Anyway, I'll be glad to answer any questions, about the operation or our company or operation or how we handle beer and wine license, and all of our new employees have to pass a ABC board test. We are a member of the Responsible Vendor Program in Alabama, which is an optional program. It is not required to hold ABC license. We have an in-house certified person that was certified by the ABC board in Montgomery to test all of our employees. So they have to pass that before they can even punch the clock the first day, as far as all the policies and procedures to go through as far as making a sale of any tobacco related product or any alcohol product. So that's our standard procedure.
When are we gonna see some dirt moving over there?
You're gonna see dirt moving within 2 weeks.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, equipment is supposed to be delivered first part of next week.
Thank you, sir.
So finally,
Thank you.
18 months.
Councilman London, you asked a
I'm
$1 million question.
all about the dirt moving.
And that was my question as well. So what's your forecasted date for project completion and possible opening?
Well, wintertime, we're starting at the absolute worst time.
Absolutely.
To start construction, as everybody knows. Weather's going to play a big part early in the project. A normal project like this would be in the 5-month range. I would say, due to time frame that we're starting, probably 6 months.
Okay.
It just depends. We're going to try to do this one a little bit different, and then we're going to try to get parking and everything as much paved as we can, as fast as we can, to get out of the mud, and then start the building, after that. And hopefully that will help us through some of the bad weather problems. It's kind of a little different way to do it, but we're trying to do that because of the time of the year.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Well, I'll get a letter or something from y'all, or how does that? I don't know y'all's procedure. I've got to take something back to the ABC board.
Yes, once the resolution is adopted, the letter that states that it has been approved by the city, and you can take that back to the ABC board, and then they will complete your process.
Okay.
That being said, is there any reason to not have this on consent, or would anybody care to have this voted on?
Mr. President, if it goes under consent, and we have an item on here that said public comments on agenda items only. So it may not be good to put anything on consent at this time.
Okay.
We can always come back and do that.
Fair enough. All right, item number 2, resolution 2020-R66 authorizes the mayor to contract with the Regional Planning Commission of Greater Birmingham to develop a comprehensive plan for the city of Irondale for the amount of $29,995.03. Mayor, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
Well, the only thing I would like to say about this particular resolution, in 2014, we started the process to creating a comprehensive plan for the city, which would be a blueprint for growth. At that time, they recommended that once a plan is completed every 5 years, you should revisit the plan because the environment changes, the people in the community changes, and the desires of the people that make up the community changes. So we're going to revise that plan. The cost of it is $150,000. However, we have a grant from the Regional Planning Commission that covers $120,000 of the cost. So the city is only responsible for the $29,995.03.
Perfect, thank you, sir. Councilman London, any questions regarding that? Councilman Clear?
Yes, I do. I'd like to talk about my own comments as well as the comments that were made by constituents that called me or emailed me. And the first thing that stood out for me was the question that I asked Ms. Puckett, which had to do with the examples that she cited of municipalities who were revising their plans. And those municipalities that were revising their plans were looking at it after 13 years, 15 years to revise their comprehensive plans. And our municipalities since we've had this plan, is 4 years old. And so I asked her, which municipalities do you have that are revising their plan after 4 or 5 years? And she said that there were none. And so that struck me. I had constituents that were asking me, well, how much did Irondale spend when they did their comprehensive plan back in 2016? And I said, well, the federal government provided 80% of that. And so the regional planning group, they received $109,000 of that amount. And Irondale paid the regional planning group $22,000. So with this one, if we go with revisions, we're paying $30,000. And the regional planning is getting $119,000. So the constituents are saying this seems like a lot of money for something that's a revision. They're also stating that when we should be looking at this when the Grants Mill Road widening is done, when the grocery store is open for business, completed, then we should look at revising the plan. But we don't need to do a 2016 comprehensive plan that we already have and have already paid for. Right now, families are trying to stay healthy and make ends meet. And they're saying, you as council members should not be approving this resolution because it's...
Thank you. Councilman Box.
Kind of echoing Councilman Coylar's sentiments, some there, a lot of my constituents that call question it too, but quite frankly, some were excited about a new comprehensive plan or a revised comprehensive plan. So the main question that came back to me is the actual timing of it. I agree on somewhere between a 5 and 7 year because we are in a society where things do change a lot quicker than they did 3 years ago. I'm wondering, is there any expiration on the government grant or the federal funding that would preclude us to move forward now as opposed to waiting till sometime in the first quarter of the new year?
Yes, because if they get other municipalities that want to come in and to be able to have a comprehensive plan performed on their communities, then that money will move to the municipalities that want to move forward with the plan.
Okay.
My other comment that I would like to make, usually when you are planning a plan for something after something has happened,
Right.
but you usually have your plan in place so when all of those things happen, you know what direction to be able to move in. It actually takes about a year to be a comprehensive plan. Now, I talked to Joe Knight's office today, and they are just getting ready to put the road out and once the bid comes in and they accept the bid, they're talking about another 8, they complete the widening of Grants Mill Road. So by the time Grants Mill Road is widened, and we would probably be getting ready to go out of office, and there'll be another group coming in talking about doing the same thing.
That's it. All right, and then lastly, James, I suppose that the way this works is once we did, if we approved and executed a contract, that's when we write the check. We don't do it when the plan's complete.
It can be paid in 2 different ways. We can pay it when it's approved and when the contract is signed by the mayor after it's been authorized by the council, or we can pay half of it at the beginning of starting the plan, and we can pay the other half once the plan has been completed.
Thanks. That's all.
Councilman Wilson? I have a question. Okay. And myself, I have no questions. Thank you Mayor, for reminding us how long the plan takes to complete. I know there's a lot of citizen involvement that goes into that, and it takes quite a while. Item number 3, resolve that resolution 2020 R67 approves a 3% compensation increase for classified employees, unclassified employees, and retirees beginning on December 2nd of 2020. Mayor, would you be nice enough to kind of walk us through that?
Yes. In 2011, the City Council created a resolution that stated that we would use the Consumer Price Index, urban, to be able to determine how much we would increase the salaries of the employees for the city of Irondale. The reason that we began to use that index as a benchmark, because when we would have meetings about having salary increases, we would get crazy numbers like 10% and 7%, 15%, 5%. So we decided that we would use something that would be a benchmark that would only determine what would be the minimum amount that would be used to determine what the increase would be for the employees for the next fiscal year. As of September the 30th, the CPI urban index was 1.4%, which that means that the cost of living had increased on goods and services at the amount of 1.4%. Now that only means that we're supposed to use this as a minimum, not as a maximum. And the reason that I decided, or I am recommending that we use 3%, first of all, the salary increase is not retroactive. So the employees have already lost 2 months of this increase, because if adopted, it will be enacted in December instead of October. Also, the payroll for the city is $7 million. 1% increase is equivalent to $70,000. So a 3% increase would be $210,000. However, you would have to reduce that amount by approximately $40,000 because 2 months have already expired for this particular fiscal year. So we're talking about $170,000. And the $64,000 question is, where is the money coming from? Well, everybody talks about how great the city is and how we were great stewards of all the funds that we were entrusted with last year. But the question that I would like to ask the public, how do you think the city was a good steward of all the resources that we have? It was the employees that was responsible for the $3.9 million unaudited surplus that we have here at the city. I feel that it's only fair to be able to share with the individuals that are responsible for the surplus. As Councilman Box would say, we're the corporation, they're the shareholders. Usually you share your profit with the shareholders. So I'm recommending that the council would share a portion of that $3.9 million unaudited surplus that we have with the individuals that was responsible for the surplus.
Thank you, sir. Councilman London?
No question.
Okay. Councilman Quayle?
Yes, I have a few questions. Is this a one-time event?
Yes.
Okay. And how is our labor budget affected by the other resolutions concerning labor?
I'm sorry, Councilman Cuellar, would you be more specific with your question?
Yes. How is our labor budget affected by the other resolutions that we have here concerning labor?
Okay, when you say how is it affected, I mean, I'm still trying to understand how do you...
Our labor budget that we currently have, how is it affected by other resolutions here concerning labor? In other words, what is our current labor budget? And when we take all of this into account, how much of that budget for all of the labor, everything that we're doing here, how much of it?
The total amount or the approximation of all of these resolutions that we have on the agenda tonight, I would say that it's around $350,000, and that's more of a conservative figure there. So we're talking about, we have a $3.9 million surplus, and we're talking about investing $350,000 into our employees who were responsible for the surplus.
Okay, very good. I noticed where we're talking, I believe it was Resolution 10 that I'm looking at, where we're proposing, you're proposing that we bump it up to grade 12. Are these skilled employees classified or unclassified employees?
These are employees that are unclassified or considered to be laborers for the city.
Okay, that's good. Do we have an overlap with bumping them up to grade 12 and then also giving them a 3% salary increase?
No, I think they would say that's fantastic.
Well, I know, I'm just asking the question. We would, right?
Well, when you say overlap, could you help me to...
So we're going to bump them up to grade 12, which is an increase, and then on top of that, you're proposing that we give a 3% increase. And so I'm asking, do we have an overlap?
No, no, we don't have an overlap.
So we're going to bump them up in pay to grade 12, and then we're going to give them a 3% increase, correct?
No.
No?
No. What we're going to do, I was going to answer this when we got down to this number, but since you have already brought it to the floor, I'll go ahead and address it. When a skilled laborer or a laborer comes to work for the city, their average wage is $10.71. And after 30 months, they no longer can receive an increase unless there is a salary increase.
Right.
So we have some people that have been laborers here in the city for almost 15 or 20 years, and their salaries have been stuck in the same place. I don't feel that that's just or right or equitable to be able to do that. So we tried to identify a way that would make it fair across the board for everybody to be compensated fairly. So we decided to use grade 12 pay and only to use 8 steps out of that pay grade to be able to determine where we would stack the employees when they become employed by the city. So what we plan on doing for this first grade, if it's adopted by the city, we're going to bring everybody in close to where they are getting paid right now. And we're not going to increase their salary. We're just going to bring them in at a grade that is close to what they're being paid right now so that they can consider every year to be considered to get an increase until they get to grade number 8. So the first year, this pay grade would be neutral. So it wouldn't cost the city any money because we want to keep them where they are today. However, we have 26 individuals that qualify for this particular position. It will be a $2,000 increase per employee in 2022. And that would cost the city $52,000 at that time when they get their first increase.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Box?
Yeah, Mayor, if I'm understanding, basically, if you do the math, and guys, I'll just be the first on it, that's not one of my strongest suits. But it looks like this is right at, on average, 140 employees, like $1.20 an hour per employee, which to me is not outlandish for a cost of living increase. And as long as we're not looking at something that's going to be continuing every year, if we're going to visit it a year at a time or something like that. I talked to some other municipalities, and many of them carry not only the 5% merit pay, but they do carry cost of living increases, and if that's something we don't have right now, I think we need to look into that.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson?
I have no comment.
And then one question for you, Mayor. Do any instances of city employees moving to other municipalities stick out specifically due to lack of pay increases?
Yes. Fire department and the police department. We bring individuals in, we train them, we invest into them, and as soon as they get their time in, they move to a municipality like Mountain Brook, Trustville, Vestavia, Homewood. You're asking the question, why did they move there? Because they get paid more money. So we make the investment into them, but then other municipalities reap the reward after we've made that investment into them. And what we're trying to do is to stop the bleeding. What we want to do is to be able to retain the employees that we are training because we have good employees. So why should we train them from other municipalities to come and pluck them from our municipality, and then they don't have to invest anything into those employees?
Thank you. And as a ballpark figure, what do you anticipate it costs to bring a policeman, policewoman, fireman, firewoman up to speed to where they're able to serve?
I'm just going to take an educated guess and say anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 every time we bring in a fresh person and make that type of investment into them.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir. Moving on, Resolution 2020 R68 approves the 2021 holiday schedule for city employees. Mayor, any comments on that?
Has anything changed
don't think so.
from 2020 holiday?
I'm not sure I was going to.
The only thing that changed is we decided to mirror the federal holidays. So we added Columbus Day because that is a federal holiday. So that is the only extra holiday that was added to the calendar.
Councilman London, any questions? Councilman Quayle?
Yeah, just a couple. Do our employees have PTO or sick days?
Yes.
How many do they have?
Your sick days, we get hours. So it all depends on your years of service and the amount of hours that have been determined by the personnel board based on where you are. When I was employed as an employee as a city, and I have been here for 8 years, then I received 8 hours of sick leave every month, and also I received 8 hours of vacation leave. But that was because I had not hit the 12-year mark for that to increase to another amount.
Does that satisfy your question?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Box?
I have no questions on this.
Councilman Wilson?
I'm good.
And nor myself either. Resolution number 5, 2020 R69 approves longevity pay for the city of Irondale employees in a total aggregate amount of $36,200. Mayor, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
The only thing that I would like to say that the longevity pay was enacted approximately about 10 years ago, and it was not put into place because we were trying to pay employees based on performance, but we were trying to pay employees because of their dedication and the service that they had provided to the city over a long period of time. And you did not qualify for any stage of receiving the longevity pay until you had been here for at least 6 years. So the only thing that the longevity pay is the reason that we offer it because we just want to continue to try to retain good employees.
Thank you, sir. Councilman London, any questions? Councilwoman Claire?
No questions on that.
Councilman Box?
Mayor, how many employees is this involving?
I want to say 55.
That's all.
Okay. Councilman Wilson?
This longevity pay is paid out on an annual basis, correct? I'm just trying to get my bearings together when we talk about longevity.
Yes, it's paid. It's a one-time payment.
One-time payment for what are we talking about, 2021?
It's for every employee that is still employed with the city as of December the 3rd. So if they're not here tomorrow, they don't get it.
Fair enough.
We used to have a scale as far as the number of years you've been here and what the longevity pay is.
It was in the resolution.
Oh, it is?
It's in the resolution.
Okay.
Thank you. And myself, I have no questions on that. Item number 6, Resolution 2020-R70 approves COVID-19 hazard pay for employees in Public Works, the Fire Department, the Police Department, and the Water Department in the amount of $500 for each employee. Mayor, do you have any comments on that?
Yes, when Governor Ivey actually declared what was going on in the state of Alabama March the 13th with COVID, they also allowed us to, our essential employees had to continue to come out and perform their job. And I would say that the employees here did a very well job of being able to do that with everything that was going on. I mean, they were basically putting their life on the line to make sure that they can provide services to the citizen here in the city. And I just felt that it was only fair to be able to reward those that were more exposed and having to deal with things outside of the comforts of this building and having all this wonderful plexiglass around you to be able to protect you. So after looking at what other municipalities had done for their employees, I assumed that $500 would be a fair amount to be able to give to those individuals that are in the field that have had to deal with everything that has been going on with COVID-19. There are 95 employees that would qualify for the $500, which would cost the city $47,500. Now, the city actually filed with Jefferson County for COVID relief funds of $280,000. So we're only asking the council to give back to the employees $47,500 out of the $280,000 that we received in COVID-19 relief funds.
Thank you, sir. Councilman London, any questions? Okay. Councilman Queer?
No questions, and you answered them all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Box?
No question.
Councilman Wilson?
No.
And myself, no. All right. Item number 7, Resolution 2020-R71 allows employees to sell back up to 80 hours of vacation leave if their accrued leave balance exceeds the maximum allowable amount permitted by the Personnel Board of Jefferson County. Mayor, any comments on that?
Okay, yes, this is a liability that the city carries on their books every year. And several years ago, when we started to perform our audits, it was a requirement to carry this liability on your books. You used to didn't have to carry it, but now it affects the financial stability of your city, because you think about all of the employees that have vacation, sick leave, holiday pay. I mean, that's money that if everybody decided to walk out the door tomorrow, the city would have to pay them those funds, because those are funds that they have earned. Also, individuals that work in a salary capacity, they usually work so much during the year that when they get to December, they are forced to take off so that they don't lose the time that they have accrued. So this recommendation allows an employee who is over the maximum allowable amounts to be able to sell back 80 hours of leave. Now, when we compute an employee's salary for the year, we compute it based on 2,080 hours. So they have already, this is already included in their salary, and when those funds are extracted and put in a escrow account for them to be able to take their leave, then we just pull from that account to be able to include that in their salary when they receive their paycheck every 2 weeks. So this is already funded. This is no additional money. This is money that we have already set aside to be able to pay employees when they get ready to take their leave. We're just allowing them to have access to it and to be able to sell back 80 hours to the city.
Thank you, sir. Councilman London? Councilwoman Queer?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
No questions on this.
Okay. Councilman Wilson? And myself, no questions. All right, resolution number 8, 2020-R72 increases the City of Irondale portion of local government health insurance premium to 80%. Mayor?
For the last 9 years, every time local government increases the health insurance premiums for the employees, we have passed that amount off to the employees. And when I really began to think about it, it's crazy to give an individual a salary increase and then you make them pay for the increase in their insurance premiums, which they end up hardly getting anything, or they're basically losing money. Therefore, since we have not increased the portion that we've paid for the city for the last 9 years, I would like to see the city increase our amount from the 75-25 split that we currently have to a 80-20 split, which means that it would cost the city an additional $72,000 to be able to pick up the extra 5% and pay a larger portion than we paid over the last 9 years.
Thank you, sir. Councilman London? Councilwoman Quayle?
No questions.
Councilman Box?
Once again, just looking at the math on this is somewhere around $43 per employee, Mayor, per month. You said the 72,140 employees.
Sounds good to me, Councilman Box.
No comments or questions decided.
Councilman Wilson? Outstanding. And myself, I am good as well. Item number 9. Resolution 2020 R73 pays classified and unclassified employees 10 hours for working holidays established pursuant to the resolution 2020 R68. Mayor?
Yes, this just has to do with sometimes the rules at the personnel board are crazy, because who would ever think that if you're being paid for a holiday that you would have to put your own time with it to pay for your holiday. The way that the regulations are set up in the personnel board in section 13.1, it states that if an employee is paid for holiday pay, you can only pay them for 8 hours even if they're on a 10-hour work day, unless that city has a resolution that states otherwise. In other words, what that says that if I'm a 10-hour employee, and we'll just use Thanksgiving, if I am to receive holiday pay for 10 hours, because the personnel board said that I can only pay that person 8 hours, then that person actually loses 2 hours, or they have to put their own time with it to pay for their own holiday. Which means that every year employees lose 24 hours of their leave because they have to put their own leave to pay for their own holiday, which the city is supposed to be paying them for the holiday. This would rectify that problem by the city having a resolution on the books that state that we would pay an employee the full amount for their holiday instead of them having to use their own time to pay for their holiday or to not get paid for it at all.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Lennon, any questions?
No questions, sir.
Councilwoman Quayle?
The only thing that I see here is if we were to go back to a 5-day work week, would this go back to 8 hours? Am I correct in that assumption?
You're correct.
Okay, thank you.
But Councilwoman Quayle, what I would like to say, at the present time, the whole city is on 10 hours except for the admin department.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody else is already on a 10-hour work shift. I can't understand why one department has to be here 5 days a week and the rest of the city works 4 days a week.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Box?
And Mayor, we're talking about just straight time is what we're talking about. Not talking about double time or holiday pay or anything like that. It's just straight time pay.
Right, an employee's salary again is based on 2,080 hours a year. So it's already built into their salary, but then they're having to put their own time with their own salary to complete their pay for a pay period, and to me that's just not fair.
Yeah, and a couple of the municipalities I spoke with that are doing exactly what you're talking about in that scenario, where the employees having to pay for actually some of the time to get the holiday off.
Councilman Wilson?
No, I'm good.
Okay, and I myself am good as well. Item number 10, 2020 R74 establishes skilled laborers pay based on the Personnel Board of Jefferson County, grade 12. Mayor, I know you've kind of already explained that a little bit. Is there any follow-up comments on that?
Unless somebody has an additional question.
Okay. Perfect. Councilman London, any questions regarding that? Councilwoman Quayle, any follow-ups?
On number 10, no.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Box?
No, I'm clear on that, thank you.
Councilman,
I'm clear.
All right, and myself, I am good as well. And then resolve the resolution 2020 R75 authorizes the execution of a service agreement with the Exchange Club of Irondale. Mayor?
Yes, when, we were, you had a question, Councilwoman?
Yeah, excuse me, Mayor, you said number 11?
Yes,
There was an item added to the new agenda.
I gave everybody a new agenda.
Okay. All right, okay.
Go ahead, thank you.
Okay. Made me lose my train of thought.
Service agreement with.
Yes, that's what happened when you're 56 years old. Oh, you sure did. You sure did. This has to do with the food giveaway that we wanted to do on December the 19th. One of one of the things that I tell April, or I ask April to do every day, is to make sure you keep me out of jail. So I shared with her that we wanted to give away some turkeys, and she said, well, Mayor Stewart, I don't think that's the best way for that to be done through the city. So she shared with me that we needed to find a non-profit entity that could purchase the turkeys or the hams and allow them to be able to give it away. Then we're trying to do that for the city. Now we can collect the funds, and we can give the funds to them to be able to purchase the turkeys or hams, but we just couldn't collect it and to be able to do it ourselves. So I thank April for keeping me out of the nice little white suits at Maxwell, and so I could be here with you all in the city for the Christmas holidays. But that's what this agreement is about. The money that we collect, like the $1,000 that Price Hightower gave for tower development today, those funds will be given to the Exchange Club to be able to purchase those items for the food giveaway that is sponsored by the City of Irondale on December the 19th at 9 o'clock.
Thank you very much. That being said, since we've gone into the deliberation already, we'll just go ahead and I say we just move into the approval of the agenda as presented. Can we make a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Outstanding, thank you. All right, since we have an approved agenda, I would welcome any public comment on agenda items only. Yes, sir.
Won't take this off so I can talk. There you are, sir. Jerry Dearden. I live 2175 Wayne Road. And I want to talk basically on the first and fifth item. We have good employees, and these employees are the backbone of the city, and we need to keep these good employees. By giving them the 3% pay raise, it will help us to ensure that we keep good employees to serve the citizens. Also, the former mayor and council canceled the longevity pay that we have been giving the employees for several years. Many of you know that I was on the council at the time, and I highly opposed taking away that longevity pay. And I ask that you reinstate the longevity pay by, and because these employees, it comes at Christmas time, and they expect this, they use it to buy gifts for their children. And when they were hit with cancellation with no warning, that was unfair, I do not think, and I believe it should be reinstated. I'd also like to speak on number 6. You're giving hazard pay to fire department, police department, water department, public works. What about the administration department, city hall? What about the library and the senior center? These people are in contact with the citizens as well, the public as well, just as well as these other departments, and they should receive the same respect and same pay that these others that are in contact with the public. And I ask that this is money that the federal government has given the city as a grant, and I ask that you include all the employees that have contact with the public on in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Echo Paul Saucier, 1113 Cloud Crest Drive. And I echo Mr. Bearden's response. And I appreciate you looking out for the employees of the city. I think that's real important. The one that's sort of petty compared to all the money for payroll, but the one with the comprehensive plan, Irondale on the Move was an exciting thing for the city. I was in the middle of building my house when y'all were doing all the committee meetings. If there's a way where that timing could be worked out, where committee meetings hit somewhere like next summer or next fall, after COVID, after vaccines, it just seems like if we spend the government's money now, and then we turn around and we finally get through all this, I mean, committee meetings right now are going to be tough. So I don't know if there's a way to delay committee meetings, part of it, but I wouldn't mind following your plan until we hit committee meetings.
Mr. Saucier, this is just to get in the pipeline. We wouldn't start until April or May.
Okay.
And that's most of the administrative part of it that goes with the planning and regional planning commission, getting with the staff. And so if we started in April, we probably wouldn't even get to the public until July or August. So it would be beyond the pandemic season, hopefully, if the vaccinations and everything gets back to where we feel more safe and protected. But they also talked about a lot of the things that they've learned by being able to do it this way, by virtual meetings and Zoom meetings and other forms of meetings. But the importance of getting it done now is that, as you stated, we can always make sure that we have a date that allows the citizens to participate. But if we don't get in the pipeline, we continue to get pushed farther back where we may miss this opportunity to get the plan revised.
So if we approve it, can we get to the point of committee meetings? And if it's not looking good, if we're having to do this right here for committee meetings, can we hold off like 2 months, 3 months or whatever until committee meetings can be everybody in a room together? There's older people in my neighborhood that aren't going to show up for a committee meeting in this type of setting.
No, we can do that. The importance is getting in the pipeline.
Okay.
And once we get in the pipeline, then we can dictate the time. But if we're not in the pipeline, we can't dictate the time.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Saucier, I just want to thank you for your comments that you said. One of the other things that came to mind as he was talking is my constituents. There were quite a few that participated in the 2016 comprehensive plan. And many of them said, you know, we went faithfully to these meetings and we did a lot of work. And to come back and ask for another one, you know, we've got participant fatigue because we just went through this whole process and now you're going to be wanting us to do it again. And that was another comment that came in mind as you were talking.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments on agenda items only from the floor? Yes, sir. Ladies first.
I gave you my sheet already. Melanie Seckles, I live at 2316 Manassas Drive. I'd like to comment on why is there a need for a new comprehensive plan so soon when the lady that's the expert, she said usually municipalities don't do it until 10, 13 years out. What's wrong with the plan we got and why are we spending money now? You know, people are hurting. People have lost jobs. People are having a hard time finding jobs. You know, it's irresponsible to just spend money like this. You know, where do those funds all come from? They come from the taxpayers at the end of the day. Whether that's us or people spread all over the U.S., I don't know about you. I pay a lot of taxes. And I can't talk about, you know, upping my benefits and salary and stuff like that, like y'all are doing. You know, there's a lot of us that are out there working and paying these bills. And, you know, we're grateful to have these plans and we paid for them and let's stick with it and see where we can go with it. You know, we still don't even have the census results in yet from 2020, so we don't know what that's going to do to the whole picture. We've been moving along on this plan. It seems like it's a good plan. It's a long one. And it just seems like it would be much more efficient not to change horses in the middle of the stream at this point. Just let's keep on doing it now. If it loses in the pipeline, so what? You know, in 10 years you can do another plan, or if there's another drastic change of some kind, you can do another plan.
Does that conclude your comment?
That's it.
Thank you very much. Any other? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I want to speak to, you got my information, okay. I want to speak to the comprehensive plan. I had a couple of questions. And, 2004, I was at some of the meetings when they talked about the comprehensive plan. My question had to do with how much of the original plan did we actually do? And since it was $109,000, how much of that did we actually accomplish? And I don't see a problem with revising it because a lot of it did not include my neighborhood. And then the things that were included in my neighborhood wasn't even done. So can you tell me how much was actually done with that $109,000 that was consistent with the comprehensive plan?
What I can state, Ms. Frazier, is one that comes to
Okay.
several of the council meetings. As I remember in 2017 and 2018, the city went through a very difficult financial crisis, and there wasn't money to implement many of the things which were high dollar items in the comprehensive plan. And so what was taken was the approach was, let's focus on the lower fruit and let's see what we can do there. And if you notice the building, Irondale's City Hall, the police department, the library, all of these buildings were painted. They look a whole lot better. There were renovations that took place in City Hall. We also had signage that has gone up. We put aside $600,000 for Ruffner Park, and a master plan has been approved, and so that's in the works. And so we also, back in 2019, the city approved the 12-year pavement plan. And again, that was this is part of the 2016 comprehensive plan. So a lot of those things had to do with the fact that the city was limited in the amount of money that they could expend to begin this process.
Well, one of the things is this, it needs to be updated because it did not include my community. It did not include my neighborhood, and the things that it said it was going to do in my neighborhood, the opposite got done. So we need to visit that, and we need the neighbors, the residents to have some input, because we had input and it was totally ignored. So we need an update, and we need to make sure that the residents agree, and we need to commit to doing what we commit to do. That's all I have.
For your participation.
Mr.
All right.
President, I just want to make one comment.
Yes, sir.
We were not in a financial crisis for the past 4 years, and I keep hearing that, and I want to make, because I was part of that administration, we were not in a financial crisis. We haven't laid anybody off. Nobody's asked to be laid off. We haven't been negative on not paying out bills, anything. We were not in a financial crisis. The real reason why this plan didn't work, because the last administration didn't push it. And that's the bottom line.
Thank you.
May I respond to that, Mr. Spivey?
Actually, I think this is a place where we do not need to, we do not close this.
That have just been said, had it not been for the passage of the occupational tax, we would have been in a financial crisis. That is what saved the city, the occupational tax.
May I, are we good?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, any other questions from the floor? Ross?
Yes. Thank you. What I've got to say is also about the comprehensive plan. I'm not totally against updating something, but I don't think now's the time to do it. I think we've got some big ticket items coming online.
If we waited till spring, I think we still have the opportunity, or in summer, but I think right now we need to, you know, like she was just talking about, maybe look back at our comprehensive plan and see if there's some things that we can update ourselves without spending another $30,000 to get an update. I just don't think that now is the time to do it. I agree with maybe we need to get the pipeline, but I don't think the pipeline's closing right now. I don't think that anybody else is jumping out to spend another $30,000. And they haven't done a redo in this short of a period of time. I'm not sure that we've expended our resources and done our due diligence on what we've already got. And one more thing, it's not on this. We need some speakers in the hall. We were out there for a prior meeting, and it wouldn't take much to put a couple of speakers out there where people can't hear. People can't hear, and they start talking about why they can't hear, or what did you say, and they just make it work. So maybe we could get something.
Thank you, sir.
I think it's that expensive to put a couple.
Appreciate your offer.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the floor tonight? Okay.
Good evening, Michael Irondale, address is 4049 Hickory Circle.
I'm sorry, sir. I couldn't hear your name and your address.
Sorry, I'll start.
Yes, that's all.
Michael Irondale, 4049 Hickory Circle. I just want to say, everything on that agenda is good. You should spend the money because you do have great employees, and that's kind of what you're here for, is to keep people working. You done a great job, that's great. 80-20 match on a grant to get a good economic plan, absolutely, that's a no-brainer. You spend the money, keep things working for the city and everyone else. So you help people do good work, and you have my full support. And people that know you work with resources also. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I believe there was one more question from the floor. Yes, ma'am.
And I just wanted to mention too about the resolution items for the salary and benefits for the employees. And for full disclosure, I want to say that my husband's retired from the city, so we will benefit from the 3% cost of living. But besides that, through the years, with my husband working here, we have seen where there were times where employees did not get raises, just like they mentioned, the longevity. We would go for many years sometimes without getting a raise or any kind of cost of living. And it's very important for our employees. It's very important that they're recognized. But it's even more important than that. It's important to our entire city, because through the years I've heard so many times we say, our city is great, but we've missed so many opportunities to use the assets that our city has. We could be so much greater. Well, what is our greatest asset that we have here? It's our employees. It's the guys sitting back there that's firemen, climbing, who greets the public every day for us. They are our biggest asset. And so when I look to see where we stood in line with the fire department against other cities, with the personnel board, we are I think we're number 10. And the cities behind us are Pleasant Grove, Midfield, Fairfield, and Tarrant. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I want to be up there with Homewood and Mountain Brook and Trustful and Moody and Lee. Actually, I don't think Moody was on the list. But if we're going to be great, if we're going to move forward in Irondale, this is the best place to start with our greatest asset, and that's our employees.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, sir.
I would just like to speak on number 10 as a supervisor of Water One. The laborers here, and I think Frank would go with me on this. The laborers do a work job here. Two of the gentlemen that were sitting back there in that water meeting, they broke it at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night, and they worked until about 2 in the morning. and two of those guys make $10 an hour, and they were here within 30 minutes. I know Frank Slaver, some of his guys, you know, on the garbage truck. So I'm pretty passionate about number 10. I think that should be considered heavily to reward those guys. It's not easy doing that job, and especially out there in 30-degree weather at 1 o'clock in the morning, and also being on the back of the garbage truck, making that kind of money. So I just wanted to take that.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the floor before we move to the virtual platform? Ron, do we have any, Mr. Bishop, do we have any virtual questions?
Only one question on agenda items. It was concerning during the original workings of the plan. Wasn't it stated that it was good for 10 years?
Do not recall.
I can answer that, Mr. Bishop. It has always been that the plan was recommended to be revised after 5 years. Now, some municipalities may decide they want to do 10, 13, 15 years. I mean, to be true with you, I don't plan on being here 13 years from now. But the plan is supposed to be revised within a 5-year period. The reason that I know, because I was responsible for the first plan. I was the one who went to the Regional Planning Commission and got the first grant that we received to be able to do this. It was very involved in every aspect of the plan. And I realized that, you know, and this is what I've said to the council. If you can tell me or give me a better way to be able to move the city forward over the next 4 years, let's sit down and talk about it. But then if you can't do that, then let's go ahead and move along and allow some professionals who know what they're doing to be able to do what they're doing. I sat here last year and we spent over $300,000 on some trash cans, and nobody said a mumbling word. Now we're talking about spending $30,000 to be able to move the city forward, and you would think that we've almost committed grand larceny against the city for $30,000, but yet we spent $300,000 for trash cans, and everybody was cool with it. So I guess trash cans are more important than moving the city forward, because you put your money where your priorities are. So my thing, if we want to be able to run our city that backwards, then it's going to be a long 4 years.
Thank you, sir. Were there any other questions from the virtual? All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and go into the agenda. In regards to new business, item number 1, 2020 R65. May we have a motion?
Mr. President, I'm making the same question.
I'm sorry?
Any items on consent before we get started?
You know, and because we went through them and deliberated them, we never really did the consent. So, I mean, we can go ahead and change up the order of the agenda. I am open to, basically, personally, I'm open to all items in consent. Councilman London, if you have any particular?
No, I'm kind of make a motion that we have items 1 through 11 on consent.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Do we need to have discussion on it? Point of order.
We can have a roll call.
Yes, roll call.
Yeah. Councilman London?
Yes.
All items on consent?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cuellar?
No.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So that puts all items on consent. That being said, any public, let's see, for one thing, we're going to step into executive session after we close this here. That being said, we'll go to council comments to the council on non-agenda items, and then after that closes, I'm going to read something about our executive session. We will not be coming back into this room to close the meeting. The statement about executive session will do that for us. So once we get done with the non-agenda items, we'll go ahead and move into executive session. We'll leave the room, and the meeting will be adjourned at that time. Okay? So at this point now, with the all business being handled, are there any comments to the council on non-agenda items? Yes, sir.
I have a question. Are we still able to use other garbage cans than non-city garbage cans during the time period?
I would defer to Frank on that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So if someone has a city can and they add a second one, it's still getting picked up?
Yes, as long as you have a city can, your company gets staying with the city, you can add a can to it.
Thank you. I saw a couple hands come up. Yes, ma'am.
I want to have one comment to the council, and I consider you to be our representative and we depend on you. But don't try to snow us and tell us something is happening when we know we've been sitting here in these meetings and we know when things have not gone right. Give us that amount of respect. We know better. So don't try to give us whatever you give us to try to think that's going to satisfy us. We know. So be honest, transparent, and straight with us about what issues that we bring up. Because we're not standing up here just because we want to come to the meeting. We care about our neighborhood. We care about Irondale. So don't do that, because it's offensive. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on non-agenda items? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'd like to ask the city to consider possibly.
Would you come on up so we can hear you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask that the city possibly consider having hours on Saturday for people that are working so that they can come and get their tags for their car or do other business, at least for maybe half a day, especially since you're down to, 4 days. That would make it easier for people so they don't have to take time off of work. If you would please consider that, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions about non-agenda items? Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to ask Mayor Stewart if he would consider maybe having extended hours during the week, Monday through Thursday, since you were closing on Friday.
Yes, we can open from 7 o'clock in the morning to allow people to come in and be served before they get ready to go to work. And we'll just stay open from 7 to 5. So to allow people to come in before they get ready to go to work. So yes, that's fine, 7 to 5.
Thank you, sir. Any other non-agenda item questions at this time? All right, I make a motion that we move into executive session. That being said, members of City Council, I need a motion for the City Council to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation. May we have a motion?
Make a motion and go into executive session.
Okay. Okay, one moment. Councilman London has made a motion that this body enter into executive session. I have a second from Councilman Wilson. Statement from the city attorney, I certify that it is permissible under the Alabama law for the body to enter into executive session to discuss the legal ramifications of and legal opinions for pending litigation against the city, and that the litigation exception under the Alabama Open Meeting Act apply to this situation. Please conduct a roll call vote for this motion. Councilman London?
Yes.
Councilman Cuero?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, a majority of the body has voted to go into executive session to discuss pending and threatening litigation. As requested by law, no deliberation between the members of this body relating to such issues will be conducted in the executive session. The City Council will not reconvene at the conclusion of this executive session. The council will now enter into executive session outside of the council chambers. After that, this meeting is adjourned. Y'all are free to leave. Thank you.
How are you, man?
What is the litigation the city's in?
No idea. It might be an employee thing. It could be, one of the businesses is doing some litigation against us for not paying the taxes we were supposed to rebate. That's happened multiple times.
Okay.
So everything, all those motions passed as written.
Yes, and I'm not quite sure they can actually do that because they're non-budgeted items.
Yeah, we didn't see a budget.
Right, and then they were. I don't think they can